Hello YouTube, my name is the Nobody, and today I am interviewing. I can't pronounce that name.
It's Eloise
Eloise Farrell.
Farrell. Yeah, close.
Okay, I'll be interviewing Farrell about feminism, anti-feminism, and MGTOW. Now, you already told me that you're quite new to it, right?
Yes,
Okay, but you know something, right?
a
So
little.
so first, I'd like to ask you what your opinion is on feminism. What do
I
you
think
see?
it was.
Yeah.
I think it was useful when women spoke up for women's rights a long time ago. I don't know if it's necessary now. I don't think it is.
Mhm. So when do you think the waves became, as people would say, cancerous? What wave do you think was the bad one?
I mean, I can't give you dates or things like that because I'm pretty new to it. Um, I'd say the I've really only seen videos of it on YouTube, but the protests that I've seen on YouTube, I'm not sure when they were happening, maybe a few months ago. I'd say that they're unnecessary, and it seems like a lot of people that are protesting are unaware of what they're really protesting for. So it's all a little confusing, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And what rights do you think today feminists should fight for?
In the Western culture,
Yes.
um, I personally don't think there are any in our Western culture that I could think of that I would personally feel like fighting for. Um, so none, I guess, in our culture that I know of.
Okay. And what about second wave feminism? What did they fight for that you thought was good?
The only thing I know of, as I said, I really don't know much about it, is the right to vote. I don't know whether that's true or not,
No,
but
that was a first wave.
oh, is that? I don't know what second wave is then. I don't think.
Second wave is a bit more complicated. That one is first wave and third wave. They're rather easy to figure out, but second wave it's a bit strange. I tried to do a video on it. I don't. You've seen my channel, right?
Yes, I
Have you?
did. I had a look at a few.
Did you see the one on first wave?
I don't know. I saw one on the MGTOW, so I don't think so.
I
Don't know what it's called.
I
The
don't
men's thing.
I don't remember making a video on MGTOW.
Oh, I
Whatever.
remember a man's one, but yeah, go on.
Okay. Anyway, so second wave feminism. I'm. They say it was about women's equality in the workplace, and having political power. But the actual laws that they passed was more about alimony, child support, what's it
Okay.
called? Very, very unegalitarian domestic abuse laws, like
Mm.
I think it's called primary aggressor or something like that. And basically, if the woman attacks a man, then the man will go to jail, stuff like that. Another, I think they also introduced hiring quotas, but kind of very minimalistic, nothing crazy. Today they're really trying to push for that. And there was one more thing. That I can't remember what it was. Oh, whatever. We'll get to that. And anyway, first wave feminism. That was really about that. That was more about the vote. It was
Okay.
about a bachelor tax, prohibition, and the white feather movement. So
Okay.
that those and third wave. That thing's a mess. That's not really about anything in
What we
particular. It's just about shame and blame.
have. Okay, so from what you've said, the second wave doesn't sound like something, from what I've understood, that I'd support. If it's to do with, if it's sort of where we are now when it comes to, like you say, paying alimony and the way that domestic abuse is judged, if that's come from second wave feminism, what we have now, I wouldn't say I agree with it because I don't think it's particularly fair for a man. at all as it is. So
Yeah, second wave was really the family. It was really introducing a lot of laws that would go into the family court system, as I said. And I just remember the other thing
oh,
that they introduced was making sure that the mother, especially if the children were young, always gets the kids. That's another law I forgot about.
oh, okay.
Although,
No, then I wouldn't agree with that. I have a child myself, and the father and I are separated. And if we were to do things through a legal system, he wouldn't stand a chance. Whereas that's not fair. He's a
yeah.
fantastic father. So if that's due to the things that have been passed from second wave, then no, I absolutely don't agree with it, because there's no chance for the men there.
Hmm. Yeah, actually, I just saw a very interesting video, more just confusing, that where a man is facing 6 months in prison for paying too much child support.
That can't be real.
Yeah, it's
Oh
I
dear.
think one of the MGTOW channels that they always show news clips. So basically, there was some problem with the child support, and he thought he didn't pay enough, so then he added another $3,000, and I know there's I'm not sure if he's gonna go to jail for it or not. It's new, but
Mm.
the case isn't quite closed yet. But anyway,
Do you
so
know what he was accused of?
what?
Do you know what he was accused of, other than what's wrong with paying too much?
Well, it was like manipulating his alimony or something like that. Like
Oh
just
dear.
paying the wrong amount is like manipulating it or something ridiculous. So,
Right.
and what is your opinion on anti-feminism?
Are we talking about
Like,
what exactly do you mean?
like what was
when
your first impression when you saw anti-feminist videos? What did you think at first?
I thought they were funny. I watched humorous ones,
Oh,
so I
feminists get
thought they were
wrecked.
very
That's
fun.
what you saw.
Yeah. um, I thought they were funny. I don't think, in terms of helping the situation, they go very far. I think that you need to educate people to
Hmm.
give them an opportunity to see things from a different perspective. And obviously, the only anti-feminist things I've seen so far are more, humorous and more of a mockery, which, in the big picture, probably isn't going to help feminists see things from another perspective. But I'm not against it. I think it's pretty funny to watch on a Friday night. So.
Definitely. When I found them, I binge watched just so many of them. But while I
They
agree
are.
with you, most of them aren't helpful in terms of educating people on the issues. What
Mm.
is very good about them is like I think like really most people, that's what introduced me to this whole to the issue, because I started
Yeah.
off watching feminists get wrecked videos. That was because you see those are the videos with the most views. They're the ones that
Yeah.
sometimes even get millions, while the anti-feminist views tend to get hundreds of thousands, and then you have the MGTOW views that get tens of thousands, occasionally hundreds of thousands. So it's kind of the deeper you go, the more knowledge they give you, the less people will watch it. But it's good that at least millions tend to watch the funny ones at least.
Yeah, I agree. That's very true. I think that's probably how I was introduced to the whole feminism thing. I don't think I found it from a feminist point of view, but rather from
Hmm.
the anti-feminist. So that's true. Yeah.
And they do show people like Ben Shapiro, Miley Yiannopoulos, Gavin McInnes, those people, and
Yeah.
while they are funny, they also they do actually show statistics. So they do educate people. I mean that's where I learned that the wage gap is a myth. I used to believe that for a very 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 long time. Actually up until maybe a year ago, a bit even less actually. What was your opinion on third wave feminism, or just feminism in general, before you saw anti-SJW, anti-feminism channels?
I didn't know it existed, to be quite honest.
You didn't know feminism existed?
I didn't think it was still alive. I
Hmm.
knew I'd learnt about, like I said, first wave. I'd learnt about that in school, very briefly touched upon it. So I knew that had existed, but I had no idea that in the Western culture it was still something that was being pushed. I thought we were at a pretty good place. I thought everything was okay.
Yeah. And what about the? Have you
I
heard of
thought I thought we were doing pretty-
what? Sorry, what?
I thought that we as women were sort of actually a little bit higher up than men from what I'd learned, from what I'd seen growing up. I thought we had maybe a couple more privileges and were definitely more spoilt, I suppose. So I thought we were a lot better, but obviously not everyone thinks that.
Don't say that to a feminist.
No.
They- They'll scream at it. They'll get very very pissed off. And what about the MRA? Have you heard of them?
I haven't.
The men's rights activists.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I haven't read anything about them. I've heard people talk of them, but I haven't really looked into it too much.
And what's your opinion on them? Do you think there's a need for them? Maybe no.
If I'm 100% honest, obviously I don't know much about it. I don't know what they do. If someone has, made an organization to make things more equal for men, I think that's 100% necessary from a logical and rational point, because I think that men don't have the same privileges as women, and I don't think it's very fair. However, and this is where my woman side kicks in, my irrational woman brain is thinking, no, I still want to be above men, and I'm happy with where things are. Can't we just stay the same? But I know that's my irrational emotional side. So I think it's definitely necessary for men to sort of speak up and
Yeah.
change things a bit. 'Cause in the sense of legal things anyway, as I said, having a son and being separated, I can see that it's not a fair world for men when it comes to legal issues with things like violence and rape and even childcare. So I think it's very necessary for that to change.
Well, I in terms of as you said, your rational woman side, I do
Yes.
have some I do have some good news for you on that issue. Now, this is something that MGTOWs talk about more. It's called gynocentrism. Are you familiar with
Mm-mm.
that term?
No.
Okay, so that basically it basically means that a society would look at things from a female perspective and give far more advantages to women. So in term even this is what most MGTOW believe, but even and that I believe as well. But even if you do change all the laws, fix everything, women will still have advantages because of the reproductive dynamic, because they're the ones that give birth. They're the ones that will be by men given preferential treatment. I mean, even obviously without laws, you can still see things that aren't actually in the law. You can still see who gets preferential treatment in society
Yeah.
even when you disregard laws. So that's always going
Yeah.
to be that's genetic. That's not going. You can educate people as much as you want on feminism, anti-feminism, MGTOW. That's always going to be there. That's not going away
Phew.
anytime
No, I'm
soon.
joking. Yeah, I
So
understand.
that's some good news for you at least.
Yeah, for my emotional side, my spoilt side.
Yeah. And what about MGTOW? What was your impression of that?
I haven't really seen much. Like I said, it's only come about a couple of weeks ago, or even less, maybe 10 days. I've only seen anything on YouTube to do with it, so comments on the YouTube section. I haven't actually read about it properly. So everything that I've read is more opinion. I found that the opinions of the people on those videos were very aggressive, and I've yet to find someone. I haven't looked very hard, but I've yet to find someone that I could talk to that didn't hate me just for being a woman. So I felt like it was sort of like a male feminist in that sort of really closed-minded headset. But again, it's only been about 10 days, so I'm sure that there'll be someone to balance that out at some point.
Yeah. Okay. So I w- it I myself consider myself to be a MGTOW at least, but
Okay,
I
and you're
don't.
pretty nice. So.
Thank you. You're also nice. Uh, I don't I don't hate women, but feminists will probably have a different opinion on that. But
Mm.
yeah, I do agree with you that the comments there will be they'll be very aggressive. I know definitely a lot of MGTOWs appear to hate women, do hate women. At least the content creators, the vast majority of them, definitely the most popular content creators on the MGTOW side of things, they haven't really showed any woman hating videos. They they don't hate women, but the comments,
Mm.
yeah, I agree with you on that. Now that's something known as the red pill rage. Most people would call it that.
Okay.
So
I've heard about the red pill, blue pill, or something like that.
okay, yeah. So that's blue pill is someone that doesn't know. They're not aware of the whole. Well, it really depends who you ask, because MGTOW, red pill, blue pill came from the Matrix. MGTOWs really like
Yes.
to borrow, they really like the Matrix metaphors. So then MGTOW started using red pill and blue pill to, you have MGTOWs that are red pill, they know MGTOWs pride themselves over knowing female nature, human nature. So so if you know about that, I guess you're red pilled. And blue pilled people would be the average man. I'm not sure if women can be blue pilled or red pilled, but I guess so. So you're somewhat red pilled. But if if you ask an anti-feminist, a lot of anti-feminists aren't too fond of MGTOW. If you ask them, they kind of adopted blue pill, red pill. So they would say that blue pill is the average person, feminist, and the red pill would be simply an anti-SJW. But
Okay.
the difference between feminism and anti-feminism is, no. The difference between anti-feminism and MGTOW is, number one, anti-feminists tend not to go into human nature, female nature too much. Although there are
Right.
what?
No, I was just listening. I was just.
Oh, okay. There are some that there are anti-feminists that are very very MGTOW, like Black Pigeon. He seems rather MGTOW. Have you heard of him? Black Pigeon Speaks.
I haven't.
Okay, so he's makes some very good videos. Tiddle Deer, somewhat. He also seems somewhat MGTOW. But yeah, the MGTOW content creators don't really seem to dislike MGTOW too much. But the comments are they definitely don't like MGTOW. But anyway, as I was saying, so the red pill rage, that's known as what you feel when you're first red pilled as a MGTOW, because then you, as I said, gynocentrism, for example. So you'd feel angry at the way the world treats you, and angry that there's nothing you can do about it. And this is one of the MGTOW perspectives. That this is my opinion, but in my opinion, there really isn't anything that can be done. That I don't think the law is going to be changed. Certainly not anytime soon. And I think that even if it does get changed, it's more of a cycle. It will keep repeating itself, because if you look at it historically, it is a cycle that repeats itself. So the red pill rage, those people that you encountered were probably going through the red pill rage. Some of them might have had very messy divorces. Some of them might have had very bad experiences with women.
I think a lot of people have.
Yeah, definitely. But it kind of the people that experience the red pill rage, they eventually get over it. Some after maybe even a month, some after years. But obviously that you'll constantly see more and more coming in. So that's one of the reasons why the comments were hateful. Another reason is the idea that women have kind of watered down and ruined the MRA and anti-feminism, and they've definitely watered down the MRA, because the MRA used to be something that the feminists were kind of afraid of. They were somewhat they thought they actually posed a threat, and then the MRA had a pretty good idea. I mean, at the time it seemed very good that they would introduce women, they'd bring them into the MRA, show them like women support us, and they kind of put women as their leaders. So other people would join in. So to show that they're not woman haters, to show that they're not misogynists.
Yeah.
But then they kind of got defanged, and then just everyone forgot about them. So MGTOW are kind of, I think a lot of them worry that if they start letting women in, then the same thing will happen to them, and it will start to become again gynocentric. It will start to become again very based on kind of seeing things from the female perspective on female problems.
Yeah.
A pretty good example of that would be a lot of videos that I see that are titled "Why I'm Not a Feminist." It's usually a woman, saying she's not a feminist, but it's not very hard to see that she's not a feminist because if she cares about men's issues, it's usually she focuses on I'm not a feminist because it gives me a bad name. It's very
Mm.
very selfish reasons. So a lot of
Yeah.
MGTOWs are, they'd be concerned about that, just turning MGTOW into something they don't want it to be. And I actually just remembered the third thing would be that MGTOW is the only male space out there anymore.
Mm.
That it's the last, the
Safe
final,
space.
yeah, not necessarily safe. Well, safe for men anyway. It's the final.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Is it okay if I just turn my light on because it's getting really
it
dark
doesn't.
outside?
We're here for the. I'm here for the audio, not for the
Okay.
video.
Oh, I should be alright then. That's fine. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think that it would be best for the whole men's rights activists or this new one to just stick to men. And it's going to sound really terrible, and I'm kind of letting women down, but I myself would like for men to be equal with women, at least, with quite a few things. But I really, really believe that men and women are different. And I do believe that women are more emotionally led and that men are more led by logic and rational thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And so I try to be rational, I try to be logical, and when I'm feeling, I try and have a higher intelligence or emotional intelligence. However, I know that when a situation comes up, even though I would love for men, to be put equally with women, and my intentions would be pure, my emotions, I could not guarantee that they wouldn't get in the way because, and now it might just be me, but I find it with a lot of women, our emotions lead us. And so when there's a situation, we may end up manipulating the situation to well, I'm trying to explain. I'm not very good at explaining things.
To your
I just feel
advantage,
like we
maybe.
can't be trusted with our emotions,
Mm-hmm.
and that they lead us. And no matter what our intentions are, because I know what my intentions are, I'd love for men to be at that place. However, if I felt like that was a bit unfair, or my emotions led me in that, my rational thinking is men should be equal, but my emotional thinking is I'd still rather be spoilt and on top, I may let my emotions take charge. Do you see what I mean a bit?
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's the way. I could be completely wrong. I mean, I can't speak for women. I'm sure there are some that are really rational thinking like that. But my experience with women and being a woman myself is that emotions control the situation most of the time.
Yes.
So that's why I feel like it should stay, that men should stick together in that area of things if they want to change things, because you never know if a woman's working for you or for her emotions, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. That's again one of the reasons MGTOW don't a lot of MGTOW don't really want women in the MGTOW community, as I said, and yeah, that's definitely a problem, and that's one of the reasons that the law isn't probably not going to change until it's too late, until the society collapses. The society
Yeah.
can't keep you can't keep handicapping the people that drive society. It will eventually come to like the Roman Empire. It will eventually just collapse. If actually, you should definitely look up a video how the Roman Empire really collapsed. It covers this issue, but very similar to the way that Europe is now suffering. Very similar. And yeah,
That's
but as I said,
interesting.
what?
That's very interesting, actually. I'll have to have a look. Thank you.
Yeah, very very interesting. But yeah, as I was saying, women are, I think they're like 55 or maybe even 60% of the voting population, because well, they're prison, men incarcerated, and also simply being more women. Then you also have the education system making making a lot of manginas, making a lot of male feminists even.
Yes,
And
I've seen.
yes, so you have a voting, you have the majority that are not ever going to vote to give up privileges. So that
Yeah.
there's nothing you can do. You can't really change the laws because the majority they don't want to give up the privileges, and
Mm.
that's one of the reasons that a lot of MGTOW they don't they're not a lot of people used to be MRAs, but they kind of gave it up because what the MRAs try to do is the MRAs they try to change the laws. They try to kind of that they're activists. So that's
Yeah.
one again the why they wanted women on their side. They realized women are the majority voters, but they're probably never going to vote for any of those things.
Mm.
And so that's why the law will probably never going. They're only going to get worse, really. I mean, you can see year by year they're just things like yes means yes, and Obamacare, which is just another man tax. It's progressively getting worse and worse, and at least more men will be going MGTOW. That's one thing.
Mm.
The MGTOW definitely gets a bad rap though. It's a lot of people either think they're gay or that they hate women, and as I said, a lot of them do hate women, but they tend to
Yeah.
get over that. But then again, more just come and I guess refresh the woman hating ranks because they're constantly being introduced to MGTOW.
Yeah.
Actually, in Australia now, uh, apparently a lot of young boys are going MGTOW. Australia,
Oh.
Australia, you've got some pretty bad feminist laws there.
Mm.
What was I gonna say? First interview, kind of nervous. She, my throat's getting kind of hoarse. I need to take a drink. So, did you have anything to add?
No, I just feel sorry for men. So,
Uh, well, at the end of the day, don't. It's not only women's fault because men are the enablers. You can't. Men are their own jailers, which is very, very stupid. Men, I mean, men are the ones enforcing the laws. You could have women vote for, to I don't know, to blow up the moon. It's not going to happen. You're going to need some men to do it.
yeah.
So men are the ones that are enforcing it. Now, obviously, a lot of them, really most of them, the vast majority have been indoctrinated in one way or another. But still, at the end of the day, men are the ones enforcing it. So the blame is
Hmm.
it's shared.
It's shared, yeah.
And who's responsible for it, I really can't tell you. Although, if there is any one person, they are dead hundreds of years ago. Nothing you can do.
I
There's
think
no one to blame really.
I was going to say I think everybody. I think it's each individual that makes the situation. So it would be a case of everybody working on themselves to make themselves a better person, to better the world, sort of thing. Which again is just not going to happen
Hmm.
because there's just. But I do, like I said, I do feel like women have a lower emotional intelligence, and that's not, maybe that was useful a long time ago, but I feel like evolution hasn't caught up with sort of the way social evolution has
Did you
happened.
say
Do you see
a
what I mean?
lower emotional intelligence or?
Yeah, I feel like we have a lower emotional intelligence,
It's
and
interesting.
than men. I think men are a lot more. I mean, when I say emotional intelligence, a low one, as in we can't control our
Oh,
emotions very
okay,
well.
okay, because
That
you
sort of,
you
yeah.
usually hear the opposite. Because
No, I mean, we have a lot of emotions, but we can't control them. We're not very aware of them. That sort of thing.
no, so when people generally talk about emotional intelligence, they usually mean like manipulating that stuff. So then people usually
Oh,
say
okay.
women have more. But
Oh,
what
yeah. Well, yeah, I'd agree with that in that sense. But
but what
well, yeah, when
what
I say it, I just think of a lower control of emotion, self-awareness, and
hmm
also like a social sort of emotional intelligence. Because women, I feel, again, I can't speak for everybody, but I'm speaking from experience, and I have tried to better myself. I'm just going to put that out there before I say this, but I feel that, especially as a younger person, I was very manipulative with men, and I think that a lot of women I knew were, but it just came naturally. it was just I don't know if it's what you learn or things like that, but from what I've seen, it
Human
feels
nature.
like we're
Nature. It's just human nature.
yeah, but I feel like men don't do that in the same way as women do, or as easily. I mean, we all have our faults, but I
Yeah,
do feel
definitely.
that generally men aren't as good with that sort of thing.
Okay,
Control.
so sorry to burst your bubble, but that would be more about your looks. It's it's not that hard to debunk emotional intelligence. It's not really a thing. It's more just men have a much higher sex drive, so they allow themselves to be
Yeah,
manipulated by women. But yeah, if you're
yeah,
look at kind of women that have their looks have faded or they're fat or they're not attractive for some miraculous
yeah.
reason they don't have any emotional intelligence. What a shocker that they
Oh
must
yeah,
just all
no.
be red herrings.
No, I see what you mean. No, absolutely, I agree that looks has something to do with it. And if you have an
Hmm.
ugly person, as nasty as that sounds, or someone that someone finds unattractive, trying to manipulate a man, it's not going to work the same as somebody who is considered attractive.
Hmm.
But when yeah, again, like when I say low emotional intelligence, I'm just talking about the
Control.
ability to control their emotions and assess a situation and act rationally and logically. But absolutely, like you say, it's a bit of blame on everybody because men
Yeah,
obviously are
the
um,
enablers.
driven. Yeah, so it's difficult. But it is sad because at the moment I feel like men have been left behind. And that's what bothers me the most is that I had been in a mindset that we as women were doing really well. In fact, we were really spoilt and had many more privileges than men. And then to find out that women are still quacking on and going on about these new things that they want, and it's just like keep your mouth shut because we're in a good place, and you're gonna ruin it. Men are gonna take over, like. But no, I am really upset about that. But like you say, I'm not really sure what could be done.
Yeah,
So
MGTOWs have a saying. It's it's not women, it's society. So
mm,
women aren't the problem, society is the problem. Because again, you need you know you need men to actually enforce the laws. A law
yeah,
on its actually I mean a law on its own is really completely it's absolutely meaningless. What you really need is society's views. A great example would be Japan that they have. I think they have their own. I heard can't really link this or I'll try maybe if I can find the article, but they have a what's it called? What's that the thing that America has, the a constitution. So they have their
oh,
own
okay.
constitution, and it says that men and women under the law will be equal, but
Hmm.
they're like any Western society, they're introducing obviously rather biased laws. So how is that happening? I mean it's
Yeah,
under the law that's not allowed, but it's still happening. It's the way
yeah,
society views it. So
yeah, absolutely.
even if the laws do change, which is they're not going to, but even if the laws did change, who's to say they're going to be enforced?
Absolutely, yeah, I agree.
A law is just a piece of paper, really. It's meaningless. You need people to actually enforce it. You need
To
society to,
want,
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And what would your views on marriage be?
Ooh. Well, I'm Catholic,
Hmm.
so I was brought up to think. I don't think it now so much, but it was drilled into me that marriage was. Sorry, my grandfather clock's going
That's fine.
off. um, it was drilled into me that marriage was a very important commitment between man and woman, and it was necessary. And if you didn't do it, it was disrespectful towards God. So there's that
Hmm.
side of it, which makes me kind of feel like, yeah, I wouldn't mind getting married. Um, I don't think it's necessary, and I think it's a little dangerous now for men to get married because of and now I am talking about the laws now, and obviously society, like you say, but I feel like it's a little dangerous for men to get married because should something go wrong, God forbid, that it's not going to be very easy for the man. I feel like the woman will come out on top in that situation.
Hmm.
So I mean, it's a personal choice, isn't it?
Yeah,
If you feel like the person you're with you can trust and isn't going to screw you over, then go for it. But I think it's risky business these days.
definitely. That's a MGTOW is actually it's about two things: not getting married and not being gynocentric. That's those are the two criteria for being. Oh, and obviously being a man.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, if you want, you can be WGTOW, women going their own way. But I'm not. That's a very small. I actually, till very recently, thought it was a parody. I didn't think it was even a thing.
Oh, it
Uh,
is a thing.
yeah, apparently it is.
Oh.
I found. I mean, I found like one relatively big WGTOW channel, and she even said she's WGTOW, whatever. So yeah, turns out WGTOW really is a thing.
Oh, wow.
And
No, that's
apparently it's not about hating men, which somewhat surprised me. I thought it was going to be like even more feminist or something like that. But no, it seems to be. I'm not really sure because I actually have only seen one real WGTOW. Like I really thought like like Meninism. It was just a parody.
right. But it's not. That's just so typical of a woman, though, isn't it? It just sounds spiteful and
It
childish. But yeah, no, that's cool. Everyone can have their thing.
and what would your have you heard of a NALT?
Pardon?
No, have you heard of NALT? What a NALT
No,
is?
I don't think so.
Okay, so NALT, it's basically a lot of women, well, they still do this. They will go onto MGTOW channels and say, not all women are like that. So then it spawned
Okay.
the idea of a NALT. So it's kind of like it's a NALT argument saying like not all women are like that.
Okay.
Some MGTOW believe that there are no. When you refer to a woman as a NALT, it really just means like a good woman, a good woman.
Yeah, a fair person.
Yeah, or well, it depends how you use NALT, because NALT could also just means like a woman that's just using that classical argument, like not 100% of women. So,
Hmm.
uh, do you think there are any NALTs out there?
That's really difficult to say. Obviously, I don't know every woman in the world, so I can't. But the way I see it, I mean, all I can speak for is myself personally. And I'm ashamed to admit that when I was younger, I wasn't very nice to men. I took advantage of, I suppose, my physical appearance, and I didn't really care about, who I hurt. And I have changed. Obviously, I've grown since. And so I feel like I've made an effort to become nicer, and I feel like I'm a better person. I've made all those sort of efforts. And yet, even though I do care about my male friends and that sort of thing, and I've tried to become more logical and rational, I feel like I would still, I don't know, it's really difficult to say. I don't know. I feel like emotions drive women, and I feel like I've never met a woman who cares about a man the way I've met men who care about women. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm actually, I do agree with what you say. But yeah, you are a very good example of what I believe about NAWALT. I believe the idea of a NAWALT, people tend to see it as more of a binary, she either is or she isn't a NAWALT. Well, I
Yeah.
believe a NAWALT it's more of a spectrum. So
Yeah.
a woman would be more NAWALT like. I don't believe that there's any woman that's like 100% NAWALT. I
It'd
believe
have to
that
be a man.
no,
100% is.
unfortunately, no. Yeah, as I said, there are a lot of manginas out there,
Yeah.
but a lot of male feminists. I've had some really funny arguments with male feminists. Very very confusing arguments. I couldn't. That'll actually be a topic of another video. That
Okay, I'll look out for that.
basically was kind of agreeing with everything I said, but still supports feminism. It's just weird. But anyway, yeah, I believe that, for example, damn it, every time I want to talk about something, I have to explain what. this new thing because you're so unfamiliar with MGTOW. Okay, so there's this
Yeah.
idea of hypergamy. That's the idea of like women trading up, women being attracted to resources. That
Okay.
in this idea in MGTOW. So to give an example of the NALT as a spectrum, I think
Mhm.
that maybe one woman would have the opportunity to monkey branch to move over to another man that has, let's say, $100,000, but more than her current man. So maybe she wouldn't then. But if she found a man with $1 million more that she could, then she would. Some women, even $1 million wouldn't be enough to get them to move to another man.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. It's a spectrum. It
Okay.
all depends on the woman and the situation. It's not
That
nothing.
makes
It's
sense.
not set in stone.
See, I suppose where I'm at with that is that I'm aware of my faults that I think are kind of faults of women in general, but I can't get rid of them. So, for example, if I was with my partner, I would tell him that I'm going to do something that isn't fair and I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway. But I'd make him aware of it so he has a chance to protect himself. Do you see what I mean? So
Yeah, definitely.
I want to do the right thing. Not going to be able to, but I'll definitely give you a head start, if that makes sense. So that's about, but yeah, like I say, I don't know all women, but I've yet to find a woman who would put their man 100% first, like I have seen men do for women.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily call those things faults. I mean, everything has an advantage and a disadvantage. So, for example, hypergamy, the men having it harder in life. That, for example, ensured that the most successful men would reproduce. That's
Yeah.
one of the things that made men, bigger, stronger, that type of stuff. So
Hmm.
things, uh, evolution doesn't, you don't evolve things needlessly. Everything has its advantages and disadvantages, and today we're seeing more of the disadvantages. But in the past, I guess you could say it was more of an advantage, but it really depends. It's I don't really see things as good or bad.
Mm.
Things just are, and obviously,
Well,
doesn't mean I like it though.
yeah, I was going to say when you brought up like the financial side, that's something that me personally, and I think a couple of people I know wouldn't do is um, place money of a higher importance over the person they're with.
Hmm.
So I think in that sense of, because I have heard about, it seems like a lot of the men that are quite angry, it does center around finances or things like that, where a woman would cheat on them or would leave them for someone with a better salary, for example. And I don't think that, well, I mean, I personally would never do that, but at the same time, I have um, a good family, and
Yeah.
I haven't ever felt the need to have money from an outsider. And I've made my own money, but I have friends, women that don't place an importance on monetary things or materialistic things. So, um, and also like I've heard quite a few people be angry about women leaving men for physical appearances, like somebody
Hmm.
perhaps with a larger who was better endowed, I
Yeah.
suppose, more well endowed, and things like that. And I've never personally come across that, so in that term,
Someone with a
I could
third
only
leg.
say, yeah. But I know that myself and quite a few friends wouldn't leave our partner or things like for those sort of things. So
Okay.
not all women are like that, but
Well, that's women being attracted to resources. That's something that's called hypergamy,
yeah,
and the
yeah,
idea of that is women need resource when women are especially when women are pregnant, but really at all times they
hmm,
need a man to provide them with resources, food, shelter,
hmm,
protection, uh,
yeah,
and you get all of that with money, obviously. So, if, over time, it has caused them to, obviously they will seek out the man with the most resources to ensure their their to ensure a good life for them and for their children. So
okay,
that's kind of the idea of hypergamy, because especially when they're pregnant, they need to rely on a man for resources. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously today you have the welfare state, you have hiring quotas, you have all sorts of things that will cause like a, I don't know, make them rely on the government instead. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's still a reliance. It's still if you ever watch I think it's called Naked and Afraid or something like that, when they take a bunch of men, a bunch of women, throw them into the wild, no clothes, no food, no nothing, and you very quickly see uh the uh the caveman dynamic of
Absolutely.
women
Yeah.
staying. Uh, so yeah, I mean,
I think I
you can
think
see
in
where
that
you can see
situation,
where that evolved from.
yeah, I mean, and I think in that situation, I think that's absolutely necessary. If that happened to me, I'd go for the person who can create fire, who can give me a shelter, who can get me food. If I did know how to do that myself. But I think we've got to a point in society where women can pretty much do absolutely everything for themselves. If they're in a good position, you know, they can get a job, they can get their own house, they're allowed to do pretty much anything that a man can do. And if they're too lazy to do that, then that's where you've got a woman who's a bit of a dick, if she's going to use men for that. But in the situation we have now with society, um, I don't think I get the urge because, for example, I am more attracted to big, tall, strong, muscly men,
Hmm.
and I think that comes from, you know, that sort of protection side.
Yeah, yeah,
However, that's the only thing that I feel drives me, you know, instinctually. Everything else I take my time and look at, and I don't need somebody to do things that I can do, you know, have a good salary or um, make food or hunt, you know, that sort of thing.
yeah.
So
And
I think that we're at a better place now.
how
But yeah, I mean,
how old would you be?
I'm
Like
22.
oh, okay, okay, 22. So that is that may very well change once you want to settle down, uh, because it's hypergamy is has been known to kick in around especially around the 30s when women want to settle down.
Okay.
So I'm just
And
saying
just
it might come around between kind of 25 to
later on.
35, but if it doesn't come around by then, it might just not 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 I guess not appear at all. But yeah, definitely
Yes.
they say that women in college, that uh, they'll go for the strong, the handsome, tall men, but
Yeah,
women in their 30s they'll go for the rich and successful men.
interesting. I don't know. So, like I said, I come from quite a good family, and so I've been able to build myself up financially with ease, and I will be okay for the rest of my life. So I don't think for me personally, I'll be looking for that. Um, like I said, I've already got a child now, but
Yeah.
yeah, I suppose I could see that. You start panicking and you'd be like, okay, now I need to settle down. And you're not going to go for someone who's starting out at the bottom when you're in your 30s. So yeah, I could see why women would do that. But you could just, I think, like I say, we're at a place now where if women didn't think with their emotions and just took a second to think, well, actually, I can do all these things and provide all these things for myself and my family if I really wanted to, then maybe they wouldn't feel the need to look for those sort of qualities, if you will, in men, rather than things like, is he a nice person? And, you know, can we make each other happy? That's what I think you should be focusing on.
Hmm.
But I could
What?
definitely see that exists.
Okay. And what do you think about the idea of equality? Not equality under the law. I already know what you know that you think men and women should. I'm assuming
Yeah.
that you think men and women should be equal under the law from what you've said
Yeah.
previously. But what is your idea? What do you think of the idea that men and women are equal?
If we were to be equal, or
No, no, like that they're equal. I don't know in terms of capability, capacity, contribution. Just to, like in general, the idea that men and women are equal.
I don't think I don't think I don't think we're the same
Hmm.
and equal in that sense. I think that we're very different biologically, and you know, like physically and mentally. I
Hmm.
think we're very different, and in a good way. You know, if
Yeah.
we, you know, use our qualities and even our faults, each is different. they are different. They can go well together. I think that men are generally stronger, maybe faster. Physically, I'm talking, you know, I think that men generally are that way. And I think women, I'm not sure what we can, but no, I don't think we're equal.
Hmm.
And I don't think I think that comes across because men tend to do the more physical things and women will tend to do the easier things, not easier, but, you know, cooking and taking care of the children. I think that still exists. And although, you know, we all play our part, I don't know, I personally feel like we're
Well,
different.
yeah, I
And
mean, even with all this technology today, women are still the ones that are going to be pregnant. That's
yeah,
not changing.
exactly. I mean, even with the IVF stuff, you know, it's still the woman that carries the baby. I know there
Yeah,
was this a woman that turned into a man, and when he was pregnant, but it was still a woman. So
that
yeah,
that
no,
that
I think that
that doesn't count.
no, I don't think we're equal in the sense of being the same at all. But I think that's just the way it is, and there's nothing wrong with that. We each bring something to the table, and if we put them together, you know, it makes a very nice table, I suppose.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with
some I'm talking in terms of the MGTOW community. Some would agree with you, some wouldn't.
it. Hmm.
I definitely disagree with the idea of equality, though. I mean, it's it's just too. I mean, I never even back when I didn't know about MGTOW feminism, all that nonsense. I
Hmm.
still didn't. I never believed in the idea of equality. It never made sense to me how two people that, you know, evolve differently, different hormones,
Yeah,
different capabilities. Like how could they be equal? It just doesn't make any sense.
exactly.
You can clearly see there's no equality there.
Hmm.
Whether that's good or bad, I didn't bother talking, like, focusing on that. Just, you know, life is the truth really is a cruel thing.
Mm.
I definitely think you should research a bit more, because I think you'd be very interested. But definitely go with an open mind, because the truth is probably going to be a bit more. I don't know what to say. Well, at least for a
Painful.
man, maybe for a man at least, a bit more painful than you than you think.
Yeah.
A channel that I can recommend, and this is a person that, unlike unfortunately, unlike even the anti-feminists that are very concerned with not hurting the feelings of women, he
Mm.
is not concerned with anyone's feelings. Uh, Someone called the turd flinging monkey, TFM. Have have you heard of him?
I haven't, but I'll check him out.
Yeah, he's one of the larger MGTOWs, and he makes some very good content. But yeah, if you want to see differences in, I mean, the differences in physical capabilities, you just need
Mm.
eyes to see that one. You don't really need a
Yeah.
video. But if you want to see the mental differences, I can send you a link to that video. That's
Okay.
a very interesting one. Yeah, men and women do actually also have some just kind of random differences as well. Like men see better at day, women see better at night. That type of stuff. Just some silly little
Yeah.
things. But there are also some very big ones. And yeah, again, just go with an open mind, because the truth will probably shock a lot of people. Not maybe not
Mm.
shock them, but be it won't be very nice. And I prepared a bunch of like talking points. What do you think about libertarians?
I don't think I know what that is.
Okay, so that's as I said, I'm new to this whole thing, so
Okay.
hopefully I won't get this wrong. But I am a libertarian, and that is basically far right, and that's the idea of either having no government at all or having as small a government as possible. Because the, although the problem with government is it's constant. You have a government, it's never going to stop growing. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger, more welfare. You know, you go from
Hmm.
capitalism to socialism to communism, and then to a collapse, and then it starts all over again. So libertarians are very about the idea of as much freedom as possible without hurting. Just do whatever. It's really just do whatever you want, but don't
Mm.
as long as it doesn't hurt anyone. And
Yeah.
it's really the only group that really mean that, because a lot of people will say, as long as you leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. That's fine. But then
Yeah.
they'll also advocate for things like welfare. it's
Yeah.
it's that's rather hypocritical. But yeah, libertarians definitely against welfare. Very capitalist. Again, just really the idea that like legalizing prostitution and drugs. No, they don't like wars. Only ever go to war with a country that would start a war with you.
Mm. Yeah.
And again, just as long, I mean, you can see this, for example, with the drugs, right? It's, take drugs just as long as you don't hurt me, then I don't care what you do.
Mm.
So what do you think
Okay.
of what do you think of libertarians?
From what you've said, I think I don't think there's a right or wrong. Well, I think it would be very difficult to have a government that gets it right.
Yeah, they're
It's
corrupted
almost
easily.
impossible. Yeah, I mean, who isn't? There's just so many people that go into it, and each person has a personality and a past that makes them make certain decisions. As for is it I can't say it.
Libertarian.
Libertarian. I'm kind of half and half with it. I agree with some of the things that you've mentioned, and I don't agree with others. I feel like, for one, we can't trust people to go about their day and not hurt other people just because that's the nice thing to do.
Yeah.
Also, as with drugs and things like that, I'm neither for nor against drugs. I don't think there are some of them that aren't very safe, I suppose, like a lot of things. Like if you carry a knife about, it's not safe. But I'm not quite 100% with let people just do what they want, because I'm kind of a person who, if I see someone in danger or in trouble or doing something that I think might not be great for them, I might speak up. I wouldn't force them to do what I say.
Well, I mean,
But
yeah,
so
you'd be allowed to help them. Again, you wouldn't be allowed to force them, though, as you
oh,
said.
okay. Then
At
yeah.
least to try and help them. Can't force them.
Yeah, that's it. I think, yeah, in that sense, in that case, then yeah. Yeah, I half agree with most of what you said about it, and sort of don't. Just because I sort of see drugs and things like that as a bad thing. But again, I don't think it's something that can be forced to stop. It's something that more like, you educate and people either listen or they don't. So I guess, yeah, I'm kind of with that as well. But then you come to the thing, if you legalize drugs or if you legalize prostitution, will it actually change anything, or will it make things worse? It's really difficult. I mean,
in terms of the crime rate, at least, it will definitely make things better. Because the reason there's so many gangs, the reason they're pimps, the reason that prostitutes are in danger, is because it's illegal.
Yeah,
That's the reason that you have so much crime, is because it's all illegal. Now,
you
crime
can't monitor it.
there'd still be crime caused by it, but not nearly the same amount. I mean, it would go down drastically. And
But see, the
in
thing
terms of people running around hurting each other because it's or not doing it because it's the nice thing to do, that's not the idea. The idea is that there would there'd be laws. There'd be some would call them natural laws that you're not allowed to hurt other people. That's the point.
Mm-hmm.
Not do whatever you want. Do whatever you want as long as it doesn't hurt other people. So you can carry a gun around, but you can't shoot people.
But people would. That's what I mean.
Yes.
You can't control people. That's the only issue.
Yes, but that's
so that's what I mean. Is it safer to force people to do things like making drugs legal and that sort of thing, but like you say, it does create crime. But then I'm in a place where I believe that every single person is, it's just very complex. And so if you have somebody, for example, that's part of a gang and that pushes drugs and has prostitutes, if you make that legal for them, perhaps they were using that as a coping mechanism for things that happened to them when they were younger, and they will then direct that trauma and things like that in another place that does involve illegal crime, or that does involve something else that is detrimental to other people's health and things like that. Does that make sense a bit?
Yeah.
I don't know. So I think that would be a better place than we're at now, if I'm honest. But you know, there's no. I'd find it a bit scary if they said to me, you know, tomorrow we legalise prostitution and drugs. I'd be a bit worried, because I'd feel like everybody that couldn't get their hands on that sort of stuff before would rush out to get it. There'd be like an initial period where it's a bit hectic, but I think perhaps once that period's calmed down, yeah, it might be easier to control those sort of things.
I agree, but you brought up a very an interesting Second Amendment argument, but the really the making guns illegal. One of the problems with that is a lot of people would say that it only takes away guns from the people that want to protect themselves, and the criminals, they'll still find ways to get guns. It's the people that want to protect themselves that are not going to have the guns now.
Less vulnerable.
Of course, that there are also the crazy people that couldn't get guns before that can get guns. So you kind of have to balance. Really, you just have to look at the statistics. How many more people? How many more crazy people are getting guns compared to how many more So it's a it's a win and lose situation. Nothing's perfect. No law is perfect.
As for the guns, I think they should stay legal. I mean, I'm from the UK, so obviously I don't have a gun. I would feel safer if I had a gun. I did once. I'm in quite a nice area, so it's not too unsafe. But once I thought that someone was breaking in, they said that some gypsies had come down the area and they were just trying to break in. And I would have felt, I had a little machete that I bought on holiday that said zombie killer, but I'd have felt much safer if I had a gun in my hands. On the other side of things, when I visit America, sometimes I'm walking down the street and it suddenly hits me that some of these people might be carrying weapons. I'm not too sure how it works. And I realised that I could get shot any minute if somebody just decided to shoot me, if they just like snapped and were like, whatever, I'm going to shoot her. So I do feel a little bit worried, but I think it will be better, like you say, because the people, the criminals, the real criminals will have weapons whether they're legal or not. It's the people that, you know, will be wanting to protect themselves mostly that will be vulnerable. And as for people who aren't completely mentally stable, I think it's a little easier to perhaps screen test for them. You know, like there's a few simple questions to answer when you purchased. If that, you know, was a little bit safer there, I think it's quite easy. Not always, but it's easier to spot a crazy person than it is to tell the difference between just a criminal and someone protecting themselves. You know, crazy people are quite easy to. So I think that they should be legal and stay legal.
Yeah, I mean, I'd feel safer with a gun, but I'd feel less safe if I knew everyone else had guns as well.
Yeah, that's it. That's the problem.
Although a lot of libertarians would argue that it would turn into a society where everyone polices everyone, so that you wouldn't go out and shoot people because you'd know that everyone else would have a gun. So you'd know that you'd get shot the second you try to shoot someone. Of course, they're the completely insane people that just wouldn't care about that, or maybe they're high on ecstasy or something. But I mean, it doesn't. Shootings in America don't happen as often as the media says they do. So even with guns being legal, it's not as common as you'd expect it to be. I mean, 320 million, and I don't have the exact statistics, but the shootings aren't as common as you'd expect. So millions of people with guns to be. There are actually more guns in America than people.
Well, I had read somewhere that obviously there was more gun crime in America than there is in the UK, and bear in mind,
definitely more people as well.
Exactly. However, there was more murder by knife stabbings in England than there were murders by gun in America. And when you compare the size of the UK to America, that's quite a huge statistic. I'm not sure if it was true, but they were just saying that there were more murders basically in the UK with knives than there were murders in America with guns. Whether that's a true statistic or not, I'm not sure, but I found that quite interesting.
Yeah.
But on the other side of things, when I see YouTube videos, obviously because that's where I live, I feel like I see a lot of trigger happy people in America. And when I read the comment sections, I feel like Americans, it's quite a judgmental general thing to say, I guess, about this, but I feel like the Americans are quite quick to want to shoot something if there's an issue, or someone if there's an issue, and I feel like the police seem to do that a lot, whereas perhaps because we're used to not having guns in the UK, I feel like a lot of the people I speak with in the UK always seem to find another way around the situation rather than just shooting the person, especially when it comes to children and things like that. You know, when there was a case of a child or a teenager wielding a knife in school and the policeman shot him. I don't think he killed him. I think he's brain dead. But I feel like that happens quite a lot. And whereas from the UK, or my perspective, and from some of my friends and people in the UK, we all say, why not shoot him in the foot? Why not taser him? Why shoot him? It just didn't seem necessary. But I feel like a lot of Americans, on the other hand, will say, no, he needed to be shot. He needed to be put down. And I don't know whether that's a social thing, or if that's because they're used to guns, and that's just the first thing to go to. So I wouldn't like to live in a place where guns are the answer. But I don't know about that. But
Yeah.
it's still a little bit safer. I'd rather have a gun.
Yeah,
but I can't,
me too. But regarding the first thing you said, yeah, I mean, in terms of the stabbings, I mean, if someone wants to kill someone, and guns are illegal, they're just gonna find something else. Even with their bare hand, if they sneak up on a person, killing people. If you have a weapon, even just like a rock, it's not it's a lot easier than you think. Well, actually, most people know that it's that it's pretty easy. I sounded like a crazy person for a second. But yeah, we're kind of getting off topic here. It was supposed to be like MGTOW anti-feminism. It turned into a Second Amendment argument. But yeah, I think this will be the final question. It's been going on for a while. What is your opinion on women voting?
I mean, I think we can't say don't vote. So I think women need to be able to vote. Again, the only thing I have an issue with is, like I've said the whole way through, women tend to act on their emotions rather than giving it a second and thinking logically and rationally. So when it comes to, a big decision, I feel like it's the women that quick to go, well, I want this done, so I'm going to tick this one, and that's it. And they, later on, they regret it. Especially with this Brexit thing, a lot of the women I spoke to were in a strop when they voted, so they voted to leave. And then once they cooled down and their rational thinking kicked in, they're like, oh, actually, no, that's not what I wanted to do. And there were a lot less men that I'd have that conversation with. They seem to actually think it through first. But no, I think women need to vote. I think there are a lot of women that are capable of making a sane choice. So yeah, I think everybody has a right to vote. I don't think everyone should vote, but you can't say no. You can't say no to someone. There are people that I would say, you're too stupid. You don't know anything. You shouldn't vote. But you can't do that, So I think it's more of an issue of yeah. Really, honestly, I don't think everyone should have a right to vote, because not everybody has the necessary information to make a factual choice. Or I'm not really explaining myself, but yeah. But I don't think that's a case of woman versus man. The only thing with a woman is that if they've got a bit of a stroppy face on, they might just vote for something because they're in a mood rather than thinking it through. But other than that, everyone needs to vote, I guess.
I have a somewhat similar opinion. I made a video about first wave feminism. I think you might like that one. But my opinion is that the video I made was specifically about America, but to a certain extent can be, I mean, really the idea can be taken all across the world. My idea is that women shouldn't vote, but not because they're women, because they didn't earn the right to vote. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but the right to vote was first given. Well, first it was actually, again, this is in America,
Mm-hmm.
rich men. So that was the first thing. Then men got it, and first only men got it because men had the draft. And
Mm-hmm.
as I'm sure you're aware, women don't have the draft. Men still have the draft. Well, people say men haven't been drafted, but selective service. It's the same thing. If a war comes,
Yeah.
there's a war. There's going to be a draft. You get the point.
Yeah.
So my opinion is. Oh, well, right, and also completely forgot another. This is also very very important. Taxes. You probably, since you're new to this, you probably don't know, but women pay absolutely no net tax as a group. The average, again, this is actually this I think was in some European country, but they basically did a study, and the average woman cost the tax-paying system $150,000 in a lifetime.
Wow.
So women pay tax, but because of all the
Mm-hmm.
programs they have that they voted for, they every dollar they pay, they get it back like maybe six times over. They get it back with interest. So men are the only net taxpayers.
Right.
So I have so because of that, I think women shouldn't vote. Not because they're women,
Yeah.
but I also think a lot of men shouldn't vote, but because
Yeah, that's the
they
people.
didn't earn it. But if I could have my ideal system, only, regardless of gender, only taxpayers and only people that are drafted should vote. Of course, I'd like
Yeah.
to say that you should cancel the draft, but let's be realistic. If there's a war and you
Yeah.
don't have a
Yeah.
draft, what are you going to do?
Well, see,
It's a nasty thing, but you have to have a draft, otherwise you're going to get
yeah.
invaded.
And I'd rather, and this is, this is the way it is, I'd rather not be on that. And because I'm in a situation where I'm a woman and I don't have to, so if you gave me the choice, if you said, right, you can vote, but then you'll do everything else that we men do, or you can not vote and you can stay as you are. I'd stay as I am. I'd be like, take your fucking vote and make the right choice for me because I don't want to do what you do. And that's what I mean about this whole feminism thing. I'm really happy with how spoilt we are as women.
Hmm.
And I don't want that to change because I don't want to go to war. And I don't want to do the annoying things that men have to do. So, but yeah, no, I didn't know anything about that. But like I said, I don't actually know much about it. I just listen to what people have to say, and
Yeah,
but
but
they're quite interesting.
the thing that gets me the most is how even the anti-feminists praise first wave feminism. But if you watch my video, you'll see why I don't care for it. But the
Yeah,
thing that gets me the most about women voting is that because women are the majority voters, they are the ones that decide how the country is run. They're the ones that elect you might say, oh, only men presidents, but the women are the ones electing them, and the politicians are
electing
the
them.
one the politicians are the one pandering to them. All the laws are being
Yeah,
passed because they know that if they don't, next time they're not going to be elected. So you have a
yeah,
system in which women decide how the taxes are spent, even though they
mm,
contribute less than contribute, really drain it. They decide how the
yeah,
taxes are spent, yet they don't contribute anything, they drain it. And even worse, you could say, women decide when and who you go to war with, but they're not going to
yeah.
be the ones actually going to war.
Actually going. I mean, it would. I'd be quite happy if they did like a trial run for a few years where it was only men that voted and made those decisions. Because at the end of the day, most, I'm talking like for couples now, relationship wise, most couples I know, it's generally the man that makes the big decisions. I mean, women, they have their say and they do their little bits, but most women I know are quite happy to let the men take the lead in most things. Men are more dominant in that way, and
Oh,
usually,
yeah.
obviously, they're shitty people. So why not, why not let them sort of lead the way things work? Obviously, there's always a man, like it's always the man that's the president, that sort of thing. But like you say, if it's the women majority voters controlling that sort of thing, let's let the men do it and see where that goes, because generally men lead the way a little bit better. So I'd be quite happy with a little test run.
But yeah,
But
that's an attraction thing. Women being attracted to alpha men, and it all goes back to
yeah,
hypergamy and the reproductive dynamic, as I
yeah.
said, resources, blah blah blah. But
It's really interesting. It's so complicated and so complex.
yeah,
And there's,
yeah.
one solution, there's 1,000 other problems. And so it's really sad in that sense. It's depressing when you start to think about it because there just doesn't seem like a solution for everything to be
but
okay.
there's no nice solution. There is a solution, but there's no permanent solution because it's a cycle, and there is no nice solution. There is no right or wrong solution. But, you know, in my opinion, libertarians, they're the solution. If you know, if they actually don't get corrupted as well, if they follow at least the libertarian way. But yeah, that would be the solution in my opinion. Or other MGTOWs would say, sex robots and the artificial womb. That would be one of the solutions because because you know, it would suddenly change the reproductive dynamic. I don't.
Yeah.
I think it would maybe temporarily fix things, but again, women could outlaw it. They could, you know, say it's illegal, or many variables, and we can't predict the future. But if you're interested in these types of conversations, anti-feminists unfortunately don't really talk about. They don't go into it in depth as much, which is one of the reasons I don't really consider myself an anti-feminist. I prefer MGTOW. So as I said, the third fleeing monkey, he's the one that really taught me all of this. So you should, if you want to, because right now I'm giving you a lot of secondhand knowledge. If you want to hear the original, the original you know, person that came up with it, as far as I know, definitely go check out his channel. He's the one that he has some very interesting opinions. I was on one of his live streams, but not particularly interesting. Just go kind of browse around this channel. He's got some very good videos.
I will, thank you. I mean, I think you've come up with some nice. I know you say it's second-hand knowledge, but pretty much everything is, isn't it, in this world? So
yeah,
I think you're pretty clued in, and it was quite nice talking to you and listening to your opinion about it. You've definitely taught me some things, so that's pretty cool.
And I guess I know, look up there are a lot of statistics that you might find interesting. Just about
and depressing.
Yeah, yeah. Or you could. I made a video about rape. That brings up statistics. That really my two best videos are about. One I made about the rape laws and the statistics, and the other one was about first wave feminism. The rest of the videos are like very optional. They're not particularly good. Not too much research went into them.
No, I'll have a look, definitely. I'll go through them.
And I didn't can't remember. Do you have any videos? Do you want to link your channel or something?
Oh God, no, I don't do any of that stuff. I don't even have any social media. I just, Okay. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Anyways, it was great talking to you. And if you're ever up for another interview, maybe like a couple months once you've really, I'd be curious to see what your opinion is once you've learned a lot more about MGTOW, feminism, that type of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for including me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you too. First interview.
Cheers.
I just hope the audio is okay.
Good. Really good.
Anyway, good night.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks too.
Bye.
Bye. Good night.